If one looks at Israel's GDP nominal for 2025, Israel is on the 29th place. 29. 29. It's a very small country and it's 29. There are more than 200 countries in the world and Israel is 29. So just this fact is quite amazing. Now, if you look at the countries that have about the same number of the same GDP as Israel, you see Austria, the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Argentina, also you see Thailand, but also you see the Philippines and you see Vietnam. So you can already tell by looking at this that you definitely know that Austria and Singapore and Emirates are really good countries. And on the opposite, Vietnam and the Philippines are countries which are kind of like third world, big time third world. People immigrate from those countries because they are third world countries. So just by the GDP, this location is kind of like so-so, but it's still great for Israel. The GDP is on the 29th ranking. What about the GPT for per capita? Let's check that. So if you look at the GDP per capita, you see that Israel is actually better than France and better than England. You know what? Actually, look, it's actually even better than Italy. It's better than Japan. So what's going on over here? Better than Japan? Israel GDP per capita is better than Japan? No way, no way. How's the currency, Japan to Israel? Let's compare. The Japanese yen, isn't it stronger than the Israeli shekel? Must be stronger, right? Let's check it out. All right, so you can see here that one shekel, one new Israeli shekel is 40 yen, something like that. So according to the calculation, if you have 10,000 yen, you have 246 shekels. 10,000 yen, it's a lot of money. It's about a daily wage for, I don't know, a laborer. I mean, it's more than what a waiter is making in his shift in a day, all right? So it's quite a lot of money. How much is 246 shekel in Israel? So check this out. The minimum wage in Israel is 5,880 shekels per month, and which means that it's 32 shekels per hour. So minimum 31 shekels for an hour. 20 years ago, I think it was maybe 15 shekels. 20 was like a lot, you know. So if one shekel is 40 yen, and minimum wage in Israel is 31 shekel per hour, 30 multiplied by 40 is what, 1,200 yen, right? And we use the calculator when we find out it's actually 1,240 yen. And we see here that the minimum wage in Japan is about 1,100 yen, something like this. So it's almost the same, but it's just a bit less than Israel. Almost the same, but just a bit. So Israel is actually better than Japan in that aspect. So the GDP in Israel is good. The GDP per capita is good. The currency is very strong, surprisingly. Some people never heard about the shekel. They never heard about the new shekel. And yet it's one of the strongest currencies in the world. And also the minimum wage in Israel is actually better than Japan. That is something kind of crazy, you know, because you would think that Japan is such a great country that everybody is happy and everybody is rich. Everybody is happy. In Israel, our people are happier. Let's check it out. So I'm looking at the world list for suicide rate. How many people commit suicide per 100,000 people? I see that African countries are at the top. Japan is like in the maybe 50, 49, something like this. Israel is like 139. So like really, really low. Like really low. Like in Israel, it's the amount of people that commit suicide per 100,000 people is really low, really low. People just don't do that. Okay, I was kind of like predicting that the suicide rate in Japan will be much, much, much higher than in Israel because it's very different culture. But what about entrance rate, for example? Or how things are in Israel when it comes to entrance rate? Okay, so we said that the interest rate in Israel is 4.5. It's about the same as America and England and also the Emirates, basically. So we see that the interest rate, which is much better, it's in Japan and also Switzerland and Thailand as well, also in Denmark, but Cuba, what? So some countries are doing really bad, like Iran, and Russia, and Lebanon, and Sierra Leone. So they have a high interest rate, like 20%, 90%, something like this. You can see that Turkey, for example, have a much higher interest rate. And Turkey is a country that has maybe double the GDP than Israel. And it's also a much bigger country. And also it's in the Middle East, but the interest rate is much terrible than Israel. Okay, after so we checked the GDP per capita, and also the interest rate and the minimum wage. We see that Israel is actually it's a very strong country with a very strong economy. It's you cannot deny that it's a very strong economy, even though it's a very small country, a very small population. But it's actually humbling other bigger, stronger Western countries. It's a fact. So Israel was chosen to be one of the happiest countries in the world. So not America, not Japan, not England, not France, not Italy, not Spain, not Hawaii, not Thailand. I don't know, definitely not Russia, not Iran, not Turkey, and not China, not even Australia. So you got to think about that. How come Israel is such a happy country? Well, there are also some really beautiful, pretty, and sexy women in Israel. So that also adds to the reason why Israel is such a happy country despite all the problems and the wars and stuff like that. We just have a lot of beautiful women. And that's actually, it's not an exaggeration. We have quite a lot of beautiful women. But another thing you need to understand that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. It's basically the freest country in the Middle East. In other democracies in the Middle East, for example, in Egypt, which is actually a dictatorship, and also Turkey, that has a president that has been ruling and basically doing whatever he wants. Those are countries that journalists, artists, media, judicial, mayors, they disappear. They are getting arrested for speaking out against the regime. So in Israel, stuff like that simply don't happen. You don't hear about journalists that are getting arrested or getting disappeared. It just doesn't happen. So in Israel, basically, you can say whatever you want. You can write a post on Facebook. I hate the prime minister. I want him to die. People will criticize you for that, but you won't get arrested for that. And you definitely won't be disappeared for that. You won't get disappeared for that, all right? So you can say what you want, you can do what you want. And this is a big difference in comparison to other Middle Eastern countries that really you can't even speak up your mind. You can't even speak up your opinion, even not on social media, unless, of course, you are supporting the regime, unless you show support in Islam, unless you show support in terror, in Palestine. Those are the only exemption of expressing any kind of criticism of your own country if you live in the Middle East. And Israel is the only country that you can show a complete criticism and even malice against the government, against artists, against the judicial system. You can say whatever you want. Someone might sue you if you say something bad about him. You can do that, okay? But you won't be arrested immediately and disappear somewhere without your family know where you are. All right. So that's the big difference in Israel in comparison to other countries in the Middle East, which make it basically one of the only normal countries in the Middle East. Okay. Bye.